When God gives you a word, when he gives you a promise, when he tells you the plans that he has for your life, for your marriage, for your love story, for your career, for your family, we got to get to a point. And I remember I wrestled with this for a while when I was in this season, but we got to get to a point where we don't hold on to what he said so tightly that we don't make room for him to come in and do more or to expound more. Thank you, Holy Spirit. What it is that he means by that, or how he wants to manifest that, or just how he wants to bring it to fruition. Even an instruction that the Lord gives you can be temporary for that season. We hold on to that so tightly that when he is transitioning us into a new season, or say it's even time for your manifestation, you're still holding on to old instructions. You're still holding on to how he did it last season. But if we're being honest, you already come up with a mental picture in your head and in your heart of how you think that's supposed to look. 9 times out of 10, that's not how it's going to happen. We wrestle with God, even unintentionally, because it's just like, well, hold on, you gave this to me. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And now you're taking it back. Not that he's taking it back. I like to say it's like this. When God speaks something to you, please insert a comma there, or know that he has inserted a comma. A comma means there's more to come. When the Lord does begin bringing in manifestation, or bringing in more wisdom, or bringing in more revelation, our heart has become hardened to the situation because we're so caught up in how that thing has to go. It has to go this way, or it's not God. It has to play out this way, thank you, Holy Spirit, or it's not God. If they don't... I hear you, Holy Spirit. Those were times where we are manipulating the Lord, if we're being honest. If my spouse doesn't do this, God must not be doing it. If they don't come home by this time, if they don't approach me this way, if I haven't met them by this date. A lot of times we say we want the Lord's will, but in our hearts, we're thinking if this happens, then this can't be the Lord. If this happens, then I'm out. If this happens, ain't no way I'm still trying, to see fruition for this. Because sometimes it gets to a point where it looks like even what God has promised you, it looks like you get further away from that promise. We don't always know, his ways and his thoughts are above ours. Sometimes you got to be okay with what didn't make sense. The Lord can reveal anything and everything, but some things he likes to just keep hidden from man. Don't hold on so tightly to what he even said, because it's him that chooses to say, well, you only knew part of it. I only told you part of it. I didn't tell you all of it. There's more to that, because he may, thank you, Holy Spirit, he may have only told you what you needed to know for where you currently were. Now you're wrestling with God, because it's like, hold on, God, I thought you said such and such and such. And the Lord is like, I only said this. You added the rest to that. I only said I was going to restore it. You added the rest to it. Thank you, Holy Spirit, that you wouldn't be separated. You assumed that because I was going to store it, it wouldn't go as far as divorce. You assumed that because I said, this is your year for marriage, that I meant you're going to get married this year. Thank you, Holy Spirit. This could be your year for marriage preparation. This can be your year for knowing more about that marriage promise. You see what I'm saying? We take that and assume God said, he said 2024 is my year for marriage. How many women can say they took that as, this is the year I'm going to get married? That may be for you, but for others, it's like God said, this is your year for marriage. This is the year for your marriage preparation. This is the year for when I'm going to take you through the process of stripping away things from you, things that don't look like me or things that are displeasing to me, so you can be that Proverbs 31 woman when I escort you to your spouse. So then when he starts doing the process and you're just like, well, hold on, God, I was meeting my spouse this year. Then the enemy sends a counterfeit. Now you think the counterfeit is the one that the Lord sent. And because you dated this person and things didn't work out the way you thought, now the enemy starts to manipulate your mind. Now you're thinking, maybe I didn't hear God. Maybe I made all of this up. Maybe I was never hearing from God correctly. When all God was trying to say is 2024 is your year for marriage, comma. I'm just giving you an example of how the Lord operates. Always something more that he didn't tell you. He may have told you this is your year for marriage restoration. Maybe he didn't even label it with the time. Maybe he said, this is, I have marriage restoration for you. Maybe you're separated. But because God told you he has marriage restoration for you, and now your spouse is moving forward with the divine separation, they're moving forward with the counterfeit, they're moving forward with divorce papers, they're moving forward with moving to another state. Now you're like, maybe I didn't hear God. I made all of this up. The enemy starts sending, he doesn't even just send counterfeit people, y'all. He sends counterfeit messages and counterfeit revelation and counterfeit provision. He sends everything counterfeit. So now you're wrestling and toying with the fact that maybe you didn't hear from God. Now he's unraveling you because you're thinking about all the times, everything that the Lord did do and the Lord did tell you and you took to heart. Because the enemy is unraveling you, now you're undoing everything that the Lord has done for you. Maybe that wasn't your God-ordained spouse. Maybe it was. I don't know. I'm not hearing God. Maybe marriage isn't for me. Maybe I made all of that up. Maybe God isn't really going to restore it. And maybe it's just a coincidence that I'm coming across these messages, on my TikTok and my YouTube. When all God is saying, all I said was that I'm going to restore your marriage. We added everything else to that. How many of you are guilty of that? The Lord will say something and we add the ending to it. He says something, we put in our bit, and then we put an exclamation there, like, there, that settles it. That's what the Lord is doing. This is the way it's going to be. And when the Lord comes in and has to disrupt those plans and disrupt how you think it was going to play out, now you're double-minded. Now you're being tossed to and fro. Now you're becoming unraveled. Now you're losing your faith. Now hope deferred makes the heart sick. And it's all because you held on so tightly to what he said that you didn't give him room to come in and elaborate more, to give you more details, to connect the dots. There are times that the Lord will tell me something, and in a vision, I see it's like a bunch of puzzle pieces. I may have all the pieces, but for the life of me, I can't understand what order they go in. So I don't wrestle with it. I leave it there like, Lord, you gave me this, but what I have, what I think is going to be, how I think is going to play out, this ain't mathing. This ain't looking right. This ain't adding up. God, this is your problem. This is your revelation. This is for you to manifest. This ain't for me. This is a God problem. I give this back to you because only you can show what pieces go with what. Not only he is a God of order, but he does things that seem to be out of order. God will give you steps 1 through 10. We think I need to start with step 1. He may have you on step 8, then go to step 10. Now go back to step 1. It makes no sense. But if you're wrestling with it and holding on to it, and it has to be this way, and it has to be this way, and it has to be this way, you're causing yourself unnecessary suffering. Even, Lord, what you told me, I take heed to that, but I'm giving that back to you. You tell me how this is going to play out. Y'all got to take you all the way out of it and allow the Lord to insert himself, because he's not going to get in that with you. It can't be your hands and God's hands. He's like, take your hands out of it. You're laying down your will. So that's your wants, your desires, your ways, everything that you think how it should go. He told you the ending from the beginning. You just got to rock with him long enough to see this thing play out. And then when you finally see it play out, guess what? Now you need to store up equity for that, for the next promise that he gives you or the next desire that he gives you. Hopefully the next time you won't be wrestling with him so much, because you can pull from that equity that you've saved in your heart, that you've saved, that he's giving you in your secret place.